All right, we're live.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Palo Challenge Live broadcast. We are enjoying a Tuesday morning, beautiful day in Chicago, Illinois, but we are without our co-host Brett Bates, and I am with co-host Will Coffin on set.
We're here.
Brett, we love you, buddy. So the function and purpose of today's podcast is to simply ask or answer user questions. I'm going to go ahead and lead off here for Will. Being the summertime, we're fielding a lot of drink questions. What
Sure.
can I drink on the Apollo Challenge? What should I drink? And so let's go ahead and touch on that.
Yeah, I think the big ones for the summertime are obviously what's the most refreshing. So we are huge fans here of LaCroix, and that's not a plug. And I really should have bought stock in LaCroix a long time ago, knowing how much people are buying these days. but LaCroix, so that's just and if that's not available in your area, that's just sparkling water with some flavoring, various flavorings. They call them natural flavorings, but they're 0 calorie. No added stuff, just water with a little bit of extract in it. You can get, there's LaCroix, then there's pretty much every grocery store has their like store brand LaCroix. That's we've tried pretty much all the ones available in Chicago, and we keep going back to the original to LaCroix. We just like that flavor better, right?
Yeah, no, it's better. It's a better product. So.
Yeah, so we like that. And then if you want to do it at home, you can get a SodaStream. I've got a SodaStream at home, and I'm a big fan of that because you can do, your filtered water, so it's good water, and then you add the carbonation with the SodaStream, and then you just add a little flavor with some fresh organic citrus. And so I'll just put a little bit of lime juice in there, a little spritz of that, or a little spritz of lemon juice, and it's just that it's 100% good stuff. And so that's a great way to stay hydrated and to kind of stay refreshed and cool this summer. A couple other great things are unsweetened iced tea. I love that. That'll give me a nice boost at lunchtime and kind of give me a little caffeine. I find that I am more sensitive to caffeine from iced tea than I am from coffee for some reason. I think it's some of the polyphenols and other antioxidants in the tea that probably interact with the caffeine to make me personally a little more sensitive to that. But then that being said, as I mentioned, iced coffee. So that's another great option.
Sure.
So we got water, straight water. That's pretty self-explanatory. Sparkling water. So, and then if you're out at a restaurant, just ask for a club soda with some citrus. A glass of ice with some club soda, and ask if they have limes or lemon slices, and add a little flavor there. And that's a great way to go. Or unsweetened iced tea and iced coffee.
So just to tap on some of the reasoning why we're not big proponents of your produced drinks with various artificial flavors, or even ones that say natural flavors, is that oftentimes you'll find artificial sweeteners in there that are processed just like a sugar and
right.
can interrupt your metabolism. So another, like Will had mentioned, another one that I enjoy is just simply adding lemon juice to water. It doesn't take a whole lot of lemon, lime, or what have you to really add a nice flavor to it, and it's also a real high quality way to buffer acid. So add some lemon juice to your water as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that I think that covers drinks. If you have questions about anything specific, like specific drinks that you want a critique of, shoot it our way. As Kyle mentioned, most of the flavored or even artificially sweetened drinks are just stay away from them. They're not doing you any good. And as soon as you are eating clean, the simpler stuff, just a little bit of water with citrus, is really going to be refreshing, and you won't need to overwhelm your palate with all that extra sweetness, because you'll be a little more sensitized to it once you're really eating clean for a while. All right, let's go on to the next question. This question is for Kyle, and it has to do with like daily activity level. So obviously we're doing workouts, and so we're going to get very specific effort into a specific action for a result in the workouts.
Right.
But daily activity, especially the summer, it's outside. We've got sunshine. We can bike. We can play intramural sports. There's all sorts of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Daily activity levels. What should people be shooting for?
Yeah, I get to ask this all the time, and I always answer the question with a question, and that question is, what do you enjoy? And the reason why I obviously ask that question is because that's what's going to incite somebody to be consistent with it, right? You need to pick something that you're enjoying, and so take a little time to put some thought into it and really understand the daily activity or the weekend fun is usually based on a hobby, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could be something as simple as going outside, meeting friends, and shooting baskets. It could be something as simple as, here in the city where we have a great lake where you're going to go ahead and paddle surf, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, or paddle board. So there's a variety of ways to do it. You're going to have to weigh, what am I going to do often? What am I going to enjoy? Who am I going to enjoy it with? And what's it also going to cost me, right? Because as I found out, getting older, hobbies are never free, and the more you get into them, okay, the more they cost, because each entry gadget into another facet of whatever hobby it may be comes at a significantly higher cost than your entry, your point of entry product. So
bigger and faster.
So, anyways, pick something you do. Obviously, if it's summertime, it's much more enjoyable to be outside. If it's not, the sweltering hours from 10 to 2, and then it's an opportunity to get some vitamin D. It's an opportunity to get some fresh oxygen. So weigh all those things, but like I said, make sure and ensure that it is something you're going to enjoy.
Great, yeah. So, but in general, in the summer, we find ourselves being more active, right? We're just outdoors more, we're moving more, and that's a good thing,
right?
So I think some people get hesitant. Oh, I'm doing the workouts. Am I going to impact myself in my recovery if I'm doing a little bit more in the summer like I normally would?
Your body's going to adapt. Your body's going to adapt to the stimulus you provide it. So, I mean, we've got plenty of subjects that do way more than the average person and benefit from that as well. So it's simply giving yourself the appropriate rest. So by all means, get after it. So in all facets. And the other component to this is that movement is generally good, right? Unless you're involved in something that is perpetuating some kind of injury. So on your off days, movement should assist in recovery as long as the intensity maintains certain levels. There's the point of fatigue. Like, for example, I went backpacking this past weekend, right? And so it was a 9-mile hike in and a 3 or 4 mile hike out. I was prepared for that. Yeah. But some others were not. Mm-hmm. And so I imagine my Monday or Tuesday feels much different than their Monday or Tuesday. Sure. And so you're going to, obviously weigh that across your conditioning, but at the end of the day, be active and then just cross-connect the dots. And so, you will eventually adapt and condition for it. So
and so obviously you're mentioning kind of the difference between a trained and an untrained individual.
Sure.
So if someone's been on a challenge in the program for a while, they'll probably notice a benefit from being in a trained state, going into some of those activities that maybe they just do for fun.
Sure.
They're going to play beach volleyball with friends, they may be in a better position and feel better the next day than their friends who hadn't done anything for the last 3 or 4 months, and they're hurting the next day.
Right.
But they're they're feeling good, and that that bout of beach volleyball isn't going to affect their progress or their outcomes.
Yeah, not as long as they don't get injured. Right?
Sure.
Which I don't put
not too many digs.
So.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I'll parlay it in a question for Will. Speaking of off days, I just want you to share with the users, as I'm getting questions off how you program your off days and some of the considerations that go into those decisions.
Yeah, the summer is tough for any sort of regimented program because fun things come up. You've got whether it's work activities or it's social activities. Fun things are going to be offered to you, and you want to. We're social people. You want to take advantage of them. I think we've talked about this in previous episodes about kind of limiting your window of exposure, especially on the food side. So choosing very, very narrow windows where you're going to say, okay, I've got that barbecue on Saturday, or I've got that birthday party on Friday night, and thinking ahead and I think we can usually look a week out. At this point in life, most people are organizing themselves that way. So if you look at your week ahead and choose a single window of exposure, usually for me this summer has been jam packed with weddings. I've had weddings every other weekend, and then if it's not a wedding, it's a bachelor party, and it's been brutal as far as staying on program and balancing kind of that sociability and being a part of the group and a part of the activity with not impacting my progress and not impacting my health. And so, for the weddings, for me, for a wedding weekend, I try and say, okay, I know that I don't control the food that's going to be served to me during the ceremony itself and during the reception. And so that's going to be my kind of cheat meal, if you will, or break, my off meal for the weekend. And I'll limit it to that window. So it'll be the period of the reception, which arguably can be several hours.
Sure.
But that'll be my limited window of exposure. Same thing for barbecues. I'll say, okay, I got a gathering 4th of July. I got a gathering from 2 to 6. That's going to be it. I'm going to say, I'll start at 2 when the meat comes off the grill, and I'll end it at 6 or 7. And that being said, I'll try and do my best to be as clean and on-program as possible during that window because I know I'll feel better.
Yeah, that's the key, is to remind yourself of the consequences of all those. Regarding that, so when Will's talking on that and touching on it, so there's the difference between being on the 28-day challenge when you are going to be rather regimented, and then there's the lifestyle that follows, and then that's still employing the concepts of intermittent fasting, of your smart coffee, of you hitting your certain fat levels and such. So what he's expressing is just transitioning from these weekend events and then being back on path, and then just to piggyback off of that event. So if it happens on a Saturday or Sunday, that is the reason why we need to get after it first thing on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back into that workout mode for a couple of reasons, to restore the habit, and then the second is to dump all the glycogen in your muscles that you just replenished. So it's actually
take advantage of it.
Yeah, take advantage of it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so it can play to your favor when done right. The problem that lies with that is that it's a gray area. So you have to ride a fine wave of deciding how much and how little, because that is what the scale will help us with on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, after a weekend like that. Mm-hmm. Because what we'll see that scale go up, and then we'll see where it trickles back down, and we'll begin to understand our set point. Now, set points will change over time given how much training you're doing, but that continued data is really critical for people to reflect and see how they actually are responding to all of this.
Right. I mean, the best way to limit the negative effect is to get right back into the challenge and the lifestyle, and to get right back into intermittent fasting, and to have your smart coffee the next morning. I mean, for me, that's game changer. As soon as you get right back into eating super clean, intermittent fasting, smart coffee, power salad, and then a really clean dinner, and just follow up with that as often as you can. I think what you were mentioning before about it can benefit you, I just wanted to clarify for listeners, is that we talk about ketosis with the challenge, and the way we achieve that is by limiting carbohydrates and making sure we get enough fats and proteins. And if you're training really hard and you add a little bit more carbohydrate in the mix, then we can replenish our glycogen stores or boost our glycogen stores, which can be beneficial in a workout. And now that's not part of the Apollo Challenge program per se, but that's what Kyle's talking about in that there can be a beneficial response in that having a slightly higher carb intake for a very small window. Now, that being said, that's not that shouldn't be considered a blanket statement for any carbs. We still want to look at the points of inflammation, our gluten, our dairy, our especially if you're sensitive to those, specifically sensitive to those things. and this we're there are so many factors that we're trying to juggle here, and if you're in on the challenge, if you're in a 28-day challenge, you really want to stick with the challenge as much as you can, because any sort of deviation from that will affect your end results.
Yeah. So in my experience, right, if the challenge was successful for you, and you made the gains that you wanted to make, or you made the losses that you wanted to make, it's likely that your body wasn't agreeing well with carbohydrate. Okay, so
Sure.
carbohydrate was contributing to either weight gain or just inability to render enough energy to work out. So, so we can make that assumption on a general scale that it wasn't good for you. Now, peeling that back, some reintroduction into carbohydrate and then followed by a workout can be beneficial for gains in weight training. I will give a disclaimer on this because it's often thought that we can't replenish glycogen without the carbohydrate. All right, and
Right.
that's just not true. Our liver does that, which it just takes a little bit longer, and so there's the gap within what the exercise science community has educated in what actually takes place. So.
And that's accounted for within the program and the off days. The way the
That's
workouts
why
are scheduled,
our workouts are structured
right,
as such.
so your body can naturally replenish
so
those without having to carb load.
That therein lies the key is to maintain that progress. Is that as soon as you do have those days where you're off, effectively, then you can jump back on and then use them to your advantage because of the potential of increased muscle glycogen store could translate into a greater intensity of workout. That's unique from individual to individual, but that's why we program as such.
Right, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I'm just thinking about the user listening to this. It might help to have some numbers and quantification. So what we're talking about on program, the goal and to stay in ketosis is to hit less than 25 grams of net carbs per day. And so if we're going to talk about numbers, and try and talk about what would be a day where you were consuming more than that, that would be when you're consuming more than 25 net grams of carbs per day. And you won't, you're not going to achieve ketosis, and so you really will not be in that groove of both physical and mental performance. That's the goal of Apollo Challenge. So that's that's my last note on that. Do you want to move on to the next thing?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Cool. All right, this next one is for Kyle. We've got questions about footwear for working out for the time in the gym. What are your guidelines? What should people be thinking about when they're in the store or looking online? What do you recommend, and how do you guide people towards proper footwear?
Yeah, so speaking of the foot, when we're doing exercise, we want to be able to maintain a foot tripod. And a good foot tripod will, I'll just use my hand as an example, and then those who are listening, you're going to want a solid point of contact underneath your heel. You're going to want a solid point of contact underneath your big toe, and you're going to want a solid point of contact underneath your pinky toe. And we should have as much surface area attained through that spread of our feet as possible. And so then, if we are unable to do that when we put on a foot, that'll automatically disqualify the shoe that we're trying on, right? Because within that foot tripod, we should have an effective arch unless we have incredibly flat feet. And so I'd start there in my recommendation, and then upon that, it's just going to be a matter of comfort. I've grown to really like less structured shoes, the minimalist shoe. That being said, activity will determine that, right? If we're going to have somebody who's going to go out and play basketball, they're not obviously going to be wearing a low structured shoe because of the volume of the jumping. And
sure,
such.
but I think the question was specifically
on
for
daily,
in the
on
gym.
a daily basis. So you're going to want something that allows you to get full ankle mobility, which is what these shoes do because there's zero, less heel rise. I have Nike Freeze in my stock. I've got New Balance Minimuses in my stock. And then that being said, it's a matter of comfort. If I'm going to go, like I said, on this backpacking trip, it's going to be a nice hiking boot. So the key point there is being able to maintain a foot tripod during your exercises. During your exercises in a split squat and in a lateral squat and in a rotational squat are one of the key reasons why we program that from the start of your movement, because if there is a discrepancy in your movement there, it will come under greater effect once we load up, whether it be a goblet squat, a deadlift, a reverse lunge, or what have you. So understanding that on a daily basis of how your feet anchor through the floor is key.
Right. No, I think even though the question was about working out, I think you made a really good point there in that this really should apply to every piece of footwear you wear. You really should, in your daily movement, whether you're walking around or you're hiking or you're playing basketball, you should make sure that your footwear gives you proper contact and control with the ground. Because if you're off balance, you're going to affect your ankle mobility. You're going to affect your all sorts of things, right?
Yeah, I get made like my guys will give me heck about how much I get onto them about how their foot's positioned on the ground. But you have to think about it like this: is you have a very large body, and it's all placed over one really small object in your foot, right? And so your ability to make really good contact with the ground is going to greatly influence every other joint above it. And so I don't take that lightly. And then on top of it, I will say this, my mistake, I wish I'd take my own advice more often, is when I find a shoe I really, really love, I buy 3 or 4 of them at a time and then have that stocked because of the fact that shoes just go in and out of styles and they always change
Too
up.
fast.
And I never have a shoe that I really, really like, all right, and then can go back to it in 6 to 12 months. They've just already changed. And so if you have a shoe that you absolutely love, invest and buy 3 or 4 so they last, and that's actually a true recommendation.
That's a great recommendation. It's frustrating when you find a shoe you love and then you go back and you wear it out and then you try to find it and you have to buy a pair off eBay from some unknown something that at twice the price because it was a fan favorite, but they still managed to discontinue it.
And it falls under what you or you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes you don't know how good it can feel, right? And you get conditioned to the footwear that you are wearing, and then you put on something else, you're like, man, I didn't realize it could feel this good, and then then you're going to get distracted by something else, and then by the time that breaks down, then you forgot how really good it feels. And so that's kind of what the key point. So
the 3 that I've had really just specifically for workouts, the ones that I've kind of cycled through my wardrobe. You mentioned the New Balance Minimus. I like those a lot. And they've got some, if you want a shoe that's not just specifically for, time in the gym, I have a pair of shoes that I only use in the gym, stays in my workout bag, and I don't think they've ever seen outside. They just go straight to the gym. But in the Minimus line, there's some really good shoes that have kind of could be multi-purpose. You could, wear them to the gym. You can wear them walking. You can wear them, on a light hike, and pretty good variety there. I also like the Nike Metcons. A lot of the shoes that are designed kind of for the CrossFit crowd are in the minimal category, and they've got some good options there. Reebok's got one, and then the new Nike Metcons. And then I also like the as far as a super minimalist shoe, the Merrell Vapor Glove or the Trail Glove. So the Vapor Glove is going to be one. I wear it just in the gym, and that's probably where I would recommend staying. The Trail Glove is designed to be kind of more of an all-around shoe, but I like those shoes as well. Those are super minimal. And then I've also tried the Vibram 5-finger ones, which are about as minimal as you get. And actually, they look super goofy, and that's probably why I don't wear them as much as I would. But I do like them because I have complete control and contact with the ground. It's second to being barefoot in the gym, which probably would be great if it weren't for tripping hazards and stubbing your toe and stuff that are in the way. So,
all right,
cool.
Going next question. Getting the most out of yourself during the workout. How we mentally approach the workouts. So,
I'll leave that to you, Kyle.
I'll take this one, but then I'll also probably come at Will with a couple of questions because it's important. And so getting them most out of yourself out of a workout is the key, and it's the only way to growth. And so to do that on a consistent basis, you have to walk into that workout and ask yourself the question, have I removed distractions, and am I going to go in here with the idea of getting the most intensity out of the time I'm spending in the gym.
Right.
Because if we come in distracted, then we're not going to be able to do that. We're going to go into our sets with very targeted weight goals, and we're going to go into very targeted rep schemes, and we're going to find things out about ourselves. We're going to find out how we're going to respond under fatigue, and we're going to get excited about how we're responding under fatigue because we're going to be able to push through it. And those are all big rewards that we can't miss when we're in their strength training. You have to be able to, in those sets, take your mind and wrap it around the actual goal and the intention, and then get excited about it. And it's kind of that trick that you're playing in your own head, is that when I get to rep 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, oh crap, I'm getting tired, and then
Right.
it's got to be a different response. It's got to be, oh good, this is where the fun starts,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is where the magic happens. This is where the change is going to occur, and that's why I
Absolutely.
stepped in the gym in the first place.
Yeah.
And so having your mind wrapped around that, and welcoming that uncomfortableness,
Right.
all right,
It's
and
like,
getting
this is the
comfortable
effect
being
I was
uncomfortable.
training for.
You have to
this
do
is
that.
where I want to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I can't remember the source, but I heard it many years ago. But it's tell yourself how you feel in those moments. You have to sit there and say, I feel good, as you're pushing through that,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the action that you're trying to create, and then go. And what you're going to find is that you're much, much, much stronger than you really thought you were. So as we have it designed within the challenge, that mindset is going to be best applied to your 12 rep days as well as your 8 rep days, when you're really going to be either going for the pump or the burn, where it's going to involve a lot of fatigue that you're going to have to push through. And then on the day 3, your 5 rep days, that's where you're going to have to really get fired up and pick a weight that you are targeting for 5 reps, make it
Really push
exciting,
yourself.
and then try to set new PRs, you know, and then understand that safety is still paramount there. So if you are at a 4th rep, and let's be real, and you can't get up the 5th rep, and a spotter is not readily available, right? We're going to stop at 4, but we are going to go in with that target, because the workouts have to have built-in self-rewards, and that is your self-reward. So I can't say it enough, is that you are going to determine your results by your approach. So
Yeah.
I get excited when people hit their PRs, right?
And
so
PR, that's personal record.
personal
right?
record, yeah, personal record in any given lift, and then obviously to follow that's a change. Some change is going to occur from that, right? And so I watched Will go through this now for 2 years, and I would say in rewind, he probably wouldn't recognize some of the weights he was using for some of the rep schemes, because of the gains you made inter-workout over time, right? So from workout to workout, it's pretty progressive, correct?
Yeah. No, I mean, huge games. Moving to weights that I didn't expect myself to get to. I think the point you made about changing the way you approach those final reps, as rather than, oh my gosh, I'm getting tired, I don't know if I can get through this, to saying, this is the reason I'm here.
Right.
These sets are the one, like the other ones are just warm-ups for these last sets, where I'm really going to get the effect that we're trying to cause here. We're going to get muscle hypertrophy. We're going to get, this is when we get stronger.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so I think that's a really good kind of mental cue that I've definitely adopted over the years. But I think for people starting out, or I know that wasn't always the way I thought about it.
Sure.
But yeah, feeling that that lactic acid buildup, that kind of pushing through that last piece, that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge, and that's why I'm always kind of dodging that question where people don't feel like it's enough, and they feel like, oh man, I'm only going to work out, or I'm only going to train 3 days. I can program more days, but you can't replace the intensity that you put forward those 3 days. If you're really, really going at it hard, the recovery day is built in for that reason.
Yeah.
And so, and there are times in individuals' lives, like if you're between ages 20 and 26, where you're going to be able to work out 2 times a day, 5 or 6 days a week, because that's the only time in your life that you're going to be producing that much testosterone to be able to support that. Okay, but then if you peel it back, if you peel it back and look on a general scale, right? So we can get a lot done in those 3 days, and specifically with that intensity and in a conscious mindset.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll ask this to Will. When we created the book, we wanted to guide the users on weight selection. So just educate our listening population on how you approach that.
Well, I think the book for me is, we were talking about, choosing big weights and gains, and for me, as soon as I've gotten, we've been doing this for years. I've been doing this program for 2 years now, and you get to the point where, oh, I know this. I know what I'm doing. I don't need the book with me. I don't, I'll just go to the gym and I'll do it from memory. And those are not the days where I make gains. If I don't have the book with me,
Mm-hmm.
I need to have the book in my hand. I need to have the weights that I put up last week or the workout before, and I need to look at those so that I can compare against myself. So I have valid data points to really assess if I'm growing, if I'm making progress week to week.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't, as much as I trust my memory to think, oh, last week I did 80s, and this week I'll do 80s again, If I'm not 100% confident that I did 80s and I didn't do 75s, then maybe I'm not going to go for the 85, which I really should be stepping up to that
Sure.
week. So the book is a really valuable tool for me to have the consistency and the data to really push myself to make gains and to progress over time. And without it, I don't think I would have gotten to where I am. I think it's really, really important to track your progress over time and to use it as a tool to push yourself forward. It's like, the last time I went through the challenge, I put on, I gained 5 or 10 pounds in this lift or that lift,
Mm-hmm.
and let's do it again this time.
Sure.
And if I don't have the data points, then I'm really not making gains.
Right.
That's it. Really, when I was when I was the most stringent using the book, especially in the early days, I find myself, defaulting to that. Oh, I helped write the book. I should know what's in this. I don't need to use it while I'm working out. But it's when I have the book in my hand that I've gotten to hit all those PRs, my personal records.
Yeah.
I'm up over 100 pounds on my lifts and that sort of stuff.
Sure.
That's really when I'm feeling good.
Sure. And it's that decision that we made when we were going through with that tactile element of the book, is that you can always revert back to it without having to jump in to a phone or an app without a
Distraction.
an available present distraction.
Right.
And so, and there's just something to be said by seeing your own handwriting in there as
Mm-hmm.
you're plugging in those numbers and then trying to reset that target. Because what Will's saying is spot on. When you go in from a day 1, day 2, day 3 workout, well, your last workout was at day 2, which is way different than
Right.
the day 3 that you did a week ago that you're
Mm-hmm.
about to do. So memorizing those weights from workout to workout is like being 2 or 3 removed from them. So you have, and then
Yeah.
think about how your weeks go, right? Many distractions occur, so you're not going to remember exactly what you use. So that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing I was going to say about the book is that this isn't just for the workouts either. That's why the book is so valuable, is that it's for your food, it's for your sleep, it's for your workouts, and tracking and having that data on a day-to-day basis allows you to get better at all those things. And as soon as you put the book away or think that you can do it off book and I've figured the system out, that's when you're going to stop making progress.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah, it's that moment of reflection when you're going through your day and you're able to reflect back and then see if you were tying all those elements together,
Right.
to, again, push that needle forward.
Yeah.
So,
And the other thing, and this is kind of just a tip I'd say about using the book. If you've got a pen, you've got a piece of paper that's the book, use it to take notes about how you felt about this workout. I didn't finish this last set, so let's stay with that weight for next week. Or I felt this was light, so next week I want to go up, and
Yeah.
kind of give yourself those reminders,
Yeah.
so that when you go back and you look at the book as a reference, you've got that, you know how to put how you wanted to progress forward when you did it last time.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to remember that.
Yeah. Yep. Remember your good days. What were some of the causes of those? Maybe remember some of those days where you may have felt a little bit lethargic, and remember to remove everything else. And the biggest factors affecting performance at all times will be your state of rest and recovery and your state of hydration. And so we wanted to just simplify with those two elements because those will make the biggest, those will influence your gains or your inability to gain the most.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's kind of continue in that vein, Kyle. And can you explain why consistency is consistently going to the gym, to having your 3 workouts a week over time, every week, staying after it, why consistency is so much more important than any single effort that you make?
Yeah, so to answer that question, give you just a quick muscle composition breakdown. So if you talk about muscle fibers, okay, and then you have motor units, all right, and then you have your nerve endings that innervate those muscle fibers, and so those comprise motor units. Your ability to recruit those, your ability to get those fired up and stimulated, are going to be directly related to your consistency doing that over time. And so if we know that heightened state of activity is going to produce your best lifts and your best intense efforts, then we have to maintain a certain level of that over time. So if I was to ask Will to go in and grab a 50-pound dumbbell right now at 8 in the morning, okay, his forearm and the muscles in his forearm are going to be the first time he picks up 50 pounds today, so it's going to feel rather heavy. Now, if I go in there and ask him to pick up a 100-pound dumbbell, it's still going to feel rather heavy. Okay, I'll have him hold it for 20 seconds, put it back in the rack, and then a few moments later, I'll have him pick up the 50. He's going to have an entirely different sensation of what that 50 pounds feels like, and that's because of his excitability with all those motor units, right? And so the more excited you get, all right, the more motor units are recruited, all right, and the less specific fibers are fatigued, and the more all of your muscle fibers are involved in a movement. And so your ability to excite those over time, all right, is directly related to how you feel and how you perform. So I hope there's a little bit of a long answer to it, but it's the best way to get strong over time. And you have to look at certain subgroups, right? And so if you're talking about the guys who get the strongest and are pulling up the most weight, right? If you're looking at Olympic weightlifters or these power lifters that are putting up insane amounts, okay, it's a matter of consistency and showing up. And so that's what they do best. Now there's obviously some brilliant programming that goes along with that, but introducing the stimulus to their body continued over time equals results. So that's the same concept that applies here. Now, I'm not expecting listeners to become Olympic weightlifters or record-setting power lifters. But that being said, I'm sure that you have results that you want to achieve for yourself. So we're going to apply that same philosophy to what your goals are.
Yeah, it's really. It sounds like we're saying it's about kind of, and it's about being part of the cycle. So you've got it's about how you activate your muscles. Then it's about incorporating that with the proper recovery and the proper nutrition and the proper sleep. And so it's that repeating that cycle enough, because you're going to make micro gains on a daily level,
micro's a great way to put it.
And those micros are going to add up to a big, a measurable number that was the goal, right?
Yeah, and so I'll give a disclaimer on that because progress isn't linear, right? Meaning that it doesn't always scale like we want it to. I could take an untrained individual and they could make some linear gains, meaning that each time they come into workout, it's going to be a little bit better than the last, right? Progress does typically happen in peaks and valleys for a trained athlete over time, and so that's one of the reasons why we've selected this undulating cycle, undulating meaning wavy,
Right.
to continue gains, because what we're trying to do is make a play on specific energy systems. So by the time we come back to a certain workout, we're recovered in that zone, and we can really maximize our effort on that specific day with that specific intention. If I was to have an individual go a 5-rep day, 3 days a week, they'd be able to sustain that with some results for a few weeks. But what would happen is they would get crushed. Their central nervous system would get crushed because they're trying to get themselves way overexcited every time they go in that workout, and it's just going to eventually produce fatigue, right? And
Sure.
so that system isn't as necessary on a 12-rep day, right, where we're going after muscular fatigue, okay? And so that's kind of the play that we're making on all of the programming.
So varied stimuli over time kind of adds up to that
Cumulative effect,
cumulative
right?
effect.
Yeah,
Right.
cumulative effect, and just your ability to get there and show up on a daily basis is key, and just having that variety in there too. So it's just kind of this, it's this self. You're trying to fulfill yourself on a workout to workout basis, and that's just that ebb and flow that we really like. So
Yeah, and this applies to the nutrition as well, right?
Sure.
You know, the consistency of staying and getting into ketosis and staying there on a daily basis, and so you'll cycle. You know, we'll cycle through through the intermittent fasting protocol with Smart Coffee. You'll get deeper into ketosis, and then we'll have your refueling period where you have your Apollo Power Salad and your dinner, and then you'll get back into that deeper ketosis. And so it's each day. You know, if your goal is weight loss, for example, if your goal is to lose some fat cells, each day you will chip away at your excess fat, and the workouts will help. But it's kind of that cumulative effect of those little micro gains over a long period of time, and so kind of moderation of achieving those daily micro goals.
So that those scale as well, right? The less fat you have, the more testosterone you're going to have. The greater you're going to recover with that testosterone, the more strength that you're going to have.
Sure.
All that's going to scale. The longer you go without carbohydrate, the more insulin sensitive you become. So then when you do ingest carbohydrate, you're going to drive amino acids into your muscle cells, and you're going to use those much to your advantage, as
Sure.
opposed to on the flip side of it. So there is, like we were saying, it's a lot
The
of
flip
good
side
things
being
happen over
storing
time.
it as fat, right?
Flip side being stored as fat, and what happens
Yeah.
when you store it as fat? Then you have less testosterone,
Right.
And so it's just slippery slope when you get off path,
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's just that reinforcement of stay on path, stay on track,
Consistency over time.
Yeah, and you're going to find a lot of great rewards when you're on track.
Absolutely. Well, I think that concludes it. Do you have anything else you want to throw in here?
No, it's
at the end here.
No, I don't. So
Cool.
we'll have Brett back next week on Tuesday, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the topic is skin. So
Yep. We'll get back to skin with Brett next week. Thanks for tuning in to Apollo Challenge Live. This was episode 15. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel to get updates when we go live. Follow us on Instagram. Hit us up on our website at apollochallenge.com. You can find the book and our brand new product, Liquid IQ MCT oil. Liquid IQ is a premium C8, C10 MCT oil made from organic coconuts, available on Amazon.com in a 32-ounce glass bottle, so no harmful chemicals.
drink fat to burn fat, baby. So yeah, get that Liquid IQ.
So search Liquid IQ MCT on Amazon.com, and you can get it there. And we still have a promo code going during this launch month, so look in the notes of this episode to find that code. So thanks for watching. We will be here next week, same time.
Thanks, guys.